Hey there, friends and enemies, Joper here again, and today I want to give my thoughts about the Fextralife video, The Truth About Dragon Age Veilguard reviews, as it's been very controversial, much like the game itself so far, and a lot of people are upset because they did not get a review code. They won't be reviewing this game until they purchase it and check it out down the line. But for me, there are some caveats that I do want to mention. One, I haven't watched this video yet, but I do know that the codes in general were very, very limited for a lot of creators who assumed they were getting them. Two, Fextralife is not a brand that I feel like is above reproach when it comes to gaming the system. And this is where I think it's interesting it's coming from these guys, because one, they've only made this video about a game they didn't get a code for. Two, they have been known to use embeds on Twitch to artificially boost their numbers until they got caught, and then they essentially stopped streaming for a long time because their numbers just completely evaporated. They've been known to use bots on Reddit in order to get their posts higher up. Their wikis have often been incorrect or misleading, and there's just a lot of issues with them and what they do. Now, I do think they provide a service for the community, but they know full well that they are gaming the system in many ways, and so for them to be upset about EA or BioWare doing the same is a little bit interesting to me. And I know going after a big YouTube channel like this, that's not really what I'm doing. I just want to break down my own personal opinion, because I do feel like it is strange that they are upset about this when they've kind of gamed the system in similar ways in the past. It's a very odd one to me personally from them specifically. I understand why other people might be upset, but this one's a strange one to me.
In this Dragon Age the Veilguard review, we're going to be talking about why we're actually not doing a review for the Veilguard today, why this should matter to you, and why it's important. We don't normally make videos like this on the Fextralife.
Like, one of the biggest things is that there have been games where other massive creators did not get codes. There were creators who were negative about the game who did get codes for Veilguard. And so I do feel like a lot of people that I've seen online have been cherry picking the like who got codes and who didn't, and it's only positive people, only negative people, and stuff like that.
Fextralife YouTube channel, we typically stay out of drama. You'd be hard pressed to find more than a handful of these across the entire 3,000 some odd videos we've ever made.
By the way, they've also been known to borrow builds for videos and stuff like that. I know some people have mentioned that in the past, and they've done side-by-sides of their own builds, so that's another thing that's kind of interesting to me.
But what I want to talk about today is going to impact the way that you watch reviews today, the ones that are coming out today, and this information should not be kept from you. Before I get into that, though, just a little bit of background about Fextralife's history with Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins is one of my all-time favorite games.
It's a very good game. I do like Origins as well.
Dragon Age Origins is consistent.
But I'm also one who has enjoyed the progression of Dragon Age. I think 2 is the weakest entry, but I enjoyed Origins, and Inquisition's one of my favorite games. It won Game of the Year for a reason, even though a lot of old-school Dragon Age fans don't enjoy it nearly as much. Dragon Age Inquisition was very controversial as well. People forget.
We also made a Dragon Age Inquisition wiki in 2014 when that game launched, so we've been covering Dragon Age for at least 10 years, maybe longer. And Fex also managed to rescue the Dragon Age forums when BioWare was bought by EA because they were shutting down those forums.
That's a good thing.
From BioWare to
now, I wouldn't know if it's fully altruistic or not, but
Fextralife forums, you can still find those Dragon Age forums today on our site. We've been in constant communication with EA and BioWare for years about this title. We've been assured we're getting a code multiple times over the years. We've been in constant communication with them.
I mean,
sending us stuff about
I understand that. Things change, though.
During that time with constant news articles, we've done several videos about the game. But most importantly, I think that our audience is the audience for this title.
That's such a brag, bro.
Another channel out there that's our size that is so specifically targeted to RPGs that fits the profile for this game. So following all this, we were invited by EA to attend a preview event for Dragon Age the Veilguard.
They're not the only ones that attended the event and didn't get a code, by the way.
Creators, we were by no means the only ones doing this. And after attending that event, we made our impressions video from playing the game, which has close to 300,000 views on our YouTube channel right now, which I think is one of the most viewed impressions videos or that game at this time.
One of my problems with their argument is that all it matters is like views, whereas developers, social media contacts, all of them have frequently said that views matter, but they're not the end all be all when giving out codes.
If you watch that video, the general sentiment is that we were cautiously optimistic about the game. We praised its gameplay, character depth, but we weren't completely sold about the storytelling in the long
that's
run,
fair.
although we only got to play a very little bit of time, so we weren't entirely sure. And in general, we didn't really like the character models, the design style of them, which I think a lot of people don't. In general,
I don't know about that. I like the models and everything. I think they're pretty good.
Closing audio from that video right now, so you can see what we told our audience at the end of that video. I still have issues with the game, mainly.
Another big problem with this is I think it does feed in a bit to the culture war nonsense, and that's really what's frustrating about this game, is that good game or bad game is getting lost in the fact that people are saying woke, anti-woke, all that kind of BS that people jump into a game with this game.
I don't like the UI and that the dialogues didn't seem to be on par with what you could get in other story-focused games that have come out in the last decade. And then I didn't yet get a point where I felt a bond or much interest with my companions who were integral to the story. It's funny that I have pretty much been playing these games for the story and getting through the combat, but I may actually be playing the Veilguard to enjoy the combat.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the combat, which is exciting. Although it might not be for everyone who likes the traditional Dragon Age Origins combat, so.
And there were several big and impactful events that I cannot discuss, but so far my opinion on this has become more positive, and I would like to urge anyone who loves CRPGs to hang in there and wait for reviews and not write the game off just yet. And just to illustrate how mild that our criticisms were of the Veilguard, after publishing our impressions video, we got called shills. Some people accused us of being...
Yeah, this is one of the most divisive games I can remember in recent times.
I was contacted by another content creator who had attended the event that asked me why my criticisms were worded more cautiously, and asked me if I was concerned when I made my video that I'd be denied access to a review code. To which, of course, I replied, no, I'm not worried about getting denied access to a review code. That simply doesn't happen in the gaming industry. But I was not concerned about this at all. I reassured him that he shouldn't be concerned about this because it's just not really a thing in the gaming industry. It's so rare that it shouldn't scare someone into not saying what they think about a game. So after publishing our video, nearly immediately, our contacts at EA and Bioware stopped replying and communication went to zero. So we started inquiring as to what was happening and reaching out to other contacts in the industry in a bit wider of a circle to try and figure out what's happening. As a result, we discovered that we were essentially getting fake reassurances that we were getting a code to keep us happy while denying us access.
I mean, maybe, but they don't have actual proof of that or anything.
Content creators about whether or not we had a code, and generally speaking, I get this a lot. People tend to ask me whether I have a code or not, because we generally get codes for all the big games. I'm not trying to brag, it's just simply reality. We have a large channel. We almost always get a code, and another creator or press can figure out if they should have a code right now, if they're going to get one or not, by asking us this question, which is what happened here. And we started piecing together between us that some people had codes and others didn't, including ourselves. And you might have also seen Wolfheart's tweets about this topic on Twitter.
This tweet from Wolfheart is so frustrating because it wasn't the ones that were just critical. Some that were critical got codes as well, but the codes were just very limited for a lot of people. Like, they may have selected people for different reasons, but like, it wasn't like this Wolfheart person. There were people with bigger channels than them that got denied, even though they were more positive than Wolfheart was. So they cherry picked who was critical and who was not, instead of just saying, oh, only people who were critical did not get codes. Well, if people who were critical didn't get codes and people who were not critical, who were very favorable, didn't get codes, then that's probably not the criteria that they chose to give out the codes.
Twitter or X, and Luke Stevens' video about this topic as well. Both of those individuals were with us in California for the preview event, and both of them put out...
Maybe that means there's another reason that people didn't get codes. Mr. Matty Plays accidentally was the leaker behind the some of the footage getting dropped early. He says it was an accident. It went to his editor and just kind of went from there to an account that was like homophobic, and the account ended up getting deleted. But with some of the footage and some of these things popping up online, it seems like even if Mr. Matty Plays, who's a massive channel, can have these leaks, they were probably just extremely careful about that, and I think that's part of it. Maybe they weren't sure who the leaker was, and they were trying to narrow that down amongst people that had gotten codes and stuff like that. But I think that's something that can happen as well.
Have some of the 3 most viewed videos on this topic, or at least most commented on, I would say.
Again,
and if you read those,
it's one of those things that if they just wanted views, they would have gone with these other creators. So that, I don't know, it's just a strange argument.
When you watch that video, you can tell clearly that they also feel some way that they were intentionally excluded by EA from review access for some unknown reason, likely because of critical comments they made in their previous video.
But people who made critical comments still got
the game just like us. And these are just 2
codes
individuals that are speaking out about this, but
see, this is the thing. He's posting Grums. Grums is a grifter culture war lunatic, and this almost discredits their entire argument here by posting somebody like this who is simply doing it for easy views and clicks and spreading this nonsense argument. I can't take it seriously. Grums is the worst on the internet, bro. I don't understand why that would be someone you would bring up in an argument of this nature. Okay. Very Dark, another one. Social Justice Warrior shills receive them. Just nonsense. Look at these posts here. And not sell. Okay, so here, BioWare Complete Panic as Dragon Age Veilguard not selling with gamers. It's now number 4, I believe, on Steam for purchases. It's also in the top 1 and 2 on PlayStation. So I think it's selling just fine. We'll have to wait and see what the numbers look like, but I don't think that it's going to underperform sales-wise unless the expectations are incredibly high. I think it'll sell probably close to as well as Dragon Age Inquisition.
That were left out, maybe more, that share a similar sentiment, that feel like they were deliberately
using these people as art with their arguments is nonsensical.
About this game, it is feeling like EA is deliberately trying to prevent us from telling you what we think about the game, and they want you to hear it from someone else. So you then have to ask yourself,
again,
why would EA do this?
Vera Dark, bro, like using these types of grifters for your argument almost discredits it immediately, in my opinion.
What are they trying to accomplish by doing this? After the previews came out, I think it became very apparent that most of the people who were still interested in Veilguard after watching the previews were waiting for reviews to make their final decision about whether or not to purchase the game. If you just read comments in any YouTube video about the Veilguard...
The YouTube comments on this game, because it's such a hot button topic with the anti-woke people, are entirely misleading in my opinion, and that doesn't mean anything.
Look at the poll on our community page. You can see that the vast majority of people that are still interested are waiting for reviews. Looking at this, EA's marketing team probably saw this and decided that they need
Skill Up got a review and it was incredibly negative, by the way.
To exclude those that might, give the game a 7 or an 8, while also reaching out and finding press and content creators that would maybe give the game a 9.
Mr. Matty Plays, the one who leaked the footage, also very negative.
Manipulate review scores because you want high review scores. What are you going to do?
Game still got an 85, 83, perfect 10s from people. It doesn't make sense.
You're going to research press and content creators and what they usually give to games score-wise to give you a general idea of how they're going to review your game.
People have different rating metrics.
9s are extremely rare. Most games we give reviews to fall somewhere in the 7 or 8 range, while other places, you know who they are, always give 9s and 10s.
Why? Like, this is the thing. They are essentially saying that they're better than these other sites, or they're more accurate because these other sites give different scores and they score things differently. It's not a brag to say you don't give out 10s. In my opinion, it just means that your scale is different and your scale might be wrong. Like, I don't know. Like, ultimately, everyone's scale is different, and it balances out if enough. There's a lot of reviews for Dragon Age Veilguard. It's not like there's just a couple here, so that doesn't make sense. There's a lot of them out there with good review scores.
Frankly, it's hard to take them seriously. And this is why
That's
I made this
so funny that he's saying that.
Told us in no uncertain terms that you're waiting for reviews, and you're about to get a bunch of reviews.
Except from IGN, obviously. He posted that immediately after saying, like, I know IGN is the thing to hate right now, but the fact that you would, like, slander other pages, other sites, or whatever on this review just feels like such sour grapes. It's so funny. You could make this argument without doing that.
They want you to think there is a universal consensus that the game is amazing, thereby convincing you that you should try
No,
it.
then they would have vetted every single one and not had any negative review scores.
If you've ever done a review for a game or for something, you'll realize that if you're the only one giving a high review score when everyone else is giving it a low review score, it's difficult.
If this game was a 9.5 out of 10 from every reviewer, this argument would make sense. But it's an 85. That makes sense. A lot of people, like Paul Tassi from Forbes, who are not traditional Dragon Age people, like it. A lot of Dragon Age fans like it as well. So it's just, it doesn't, I don't know. This argument doesn't hold up with me. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but...
And everyone else is giving it a high review score. It's a very difficult position to be in. So if you see a bunch of positive review scores come out today, think about all the people that are going to be playing afterward and how much pressure they're going to feel to give the game a slightly better score than they would have given it, just to avoid maybe some pressure.
So they're essentially admitting that they would change their score because of public pressure. Then their score shouldn't matter anyway, right? If they're not pressured to give that, then why, like, that's not, I find that to be a nonsensical argument.
That doesn't even happen consciously. It's just done subconsciously. And I want to be very clear here that I don't think that the press and creators publishing their videos early are going to be lying. However, these reviewers have been screened to maximize the chances that you're seeing positive.
It's just so ironic coming from this site that purposely misled about their Twitch numbers in order to get to the top of the Twitch
this has only happened one other time that I'm aware of in the
directory.
I've been doing this, and that is with Cyberpunk 2077, which followed a similar pattern where we were constantly reassured we were getting a code for years, but never got one. And suddenly reviews
It's funny.
Everyone was praising the game, giving it 9s and 10s, except one journalist who dared to give it an 8 and was ripped to shreds for it. But then the fans...
Some people said it was broken at the time, but...
We were forced to make one of the most disappointed videos I've ever made in my gaming career. However, in the case of CD Projekt Red, they own their shit, and the game is in a much better place now, though they lost trust by what happened with that game. And in CD Projekt Red's case, they had already garnered...
By all accounts, though, the problem with Cyberpunk was because it was buggy and had a bunch of issues. That doesn't sound like it's going to be the case with Dragon Age Veilguard from everybody's first impressions. So that, it's not the same situation there.
So they survived the backlash. However, neither BioWare or EA have shining reputations in the gaming industry, and many people think this is BioWare's last chance to prove they still have it. This is the worst possible start to demonstrating whether or not that is true. So what does this mean for Fextralife? Honestly, nothing has changed. I'm going to buy the game, I'm going to make our review, and I'm going to like the game or not based on the merit of the game, same as we've always done. I'm not going to let EA's bullshit influence our review or its score. We decided to make
already calling it bullshit though. Like it's already influenced. That's not how, like, you already have put a negative connotation in people's minds just by saying that.
Deliberation for you, the viewer, because we couldn't in good conscience let this pass without saying something.
This is, imagine if every reviewer who didn't get a code made a video like this.
Moving parts behind the scenes in the gaming industry,
or didn't get a code for other games, they made videos like this.
Getting bonuses based on review scores, with higher score being bigger bonuses. Maybe you didn't know that. The tactic that EA has taken with Dragon Age the Veilguard may prove to be successful.
Again, just like you wouldn't know that Fextralife boosts their Twitch views, just like Fextralife boosts themselves on Reddit in order to get attention. Like, it's mind-blowing.
Should be entirely unnecessary if the game is in fact good. But it's not good for you, the consumer, and because they did this, you should not purchase the game based on initial reviews, but instead wait for players to get their hands on the game.
If the game looks good to you, buy it. If it doesn't look good to you, wait. That's how every game should be.
Not one that is manufactured by a large.
Check out some reviewers who have similar tastes and ideas as you. If you don't find one, then just wait. Like, you don't have to pre-order a game. I pre-ordered the game. I'll be playing it day one.
This is not a video that I really wanted to make, but I thought it was very important to get this information out to you. And again, no disrespect to any content creators or press out there that are...
Keep saying that, but he did slander a bunch of them earlier in his video.
It's simply aimed at informing you about what is going on with Dragon Age the Veilguard and why you might want to...
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know I was exceptionally harsh on Fextralife there. I've just been very frustrated watching what they do and them gaming the system, and they don't complain when they get the Elden Ring DLC early and they have guides on literally everything the day after the game comes out, the DLC comes out, or something like that. They are constantly taking advantage of the system and getting ahead of things based on what they do, and to not realize that it is insanity to me. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This was a bit of a ranty one. I know I'm going to get some blowback. I know people are going to disagree with me. I frankly do not care. I think this is something that is just misleading, in my opinion, in many ways. And so you can disagree. You can follow what they say. That's fine. They're a massive channel. I understand. They have a lot of subscribers for a reason. I just hardcore disagree with everything they send in the video. Anyway, my name is Jopa. Like the video, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.